Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina Podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cantina here on the GenreVerse Podcast Network and YouTube channel. Please hit the red subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app if you haven't already. And, of course, check out lrmonline.com every day for all entertainment news, needs, and opinions. I'm Kyle. That's Cam. We've got social media information down on the screen and in the description box below for you guys. We're here to talk about Andor episode 6, and you guys see I got our little Andor logo up on the screen. I think I was gonna do that for all of the episodes, but now I can't remember if I did or not. So yay, brain injuries. I have to say this, Cam, before we get into any of it, I have pretty much 6 episodes in decided that this is overall, while I still think there's some really, really good Mando episodes. You think the Mayfield and Mando removing his helmet episode is one of those, but this is the best thing since Empire Strikes Back. Like, this is better than Kenobi. This is better than Book of Boba Fett. Better than the sequel trilogy. Better than Rogue One. Better than Solo. Better than the prequels. And probably better than 75% of the Mandalorian. Yeah.
I'll give you that. I cannot disagree with that whatsoever. So I know not everyone feels like us, but
right.
But clearly we are both loving this so far.
Very much so.
To me, this is there's a sort of almost right. There's a way to do Star Wars, if you like, for me, that didn't happen between the OT and the PT, which is, although there's silliness to it, you have to play it straight. You have to play it serious, even though there's some fantasy elements to it. And I think the PT went into the camp zone a little bit, and that has kind of almost then affected everything else that's happened in Star Wars since. And I think what Andor is taking the Star Wars background and presenting a serious story, and I think that's the secret to getting Star Wars right for me, because that kind of feels like what the OT was. Plus, maybe what we don't have in this is that mysticism, that kind of fantasy aspect
with the Jedi
of the Force.
And stuff.
But realistically, once you add that back in, that's your juggling pot for the OT, almost. For me, it's fantastic.
So, how'd you spoiler-free feel about episode 6, man?
It was my favorite episode so far, 100%.
Me too. Yeah. How would you grade it? How did you grade it? Because Cam rates
A plus.
A plus.
A plus. Yeah. I mean, I don't see. There's nothing I can sit there and go, I wish that or that. It was a perfectly formed conclusion to that 3-episode arc that we've gotten. We've just got enough time to care about characters that we may never see again. And arcs are in some ways fulfilled for secondary characters. There's huge steps in the main characters' arcs all over the place. If we look at how this kind of then factors into where the rest of the show is going to go after that. Visually, it was stunning. Sound design, fantastic again. Possibly one of the best visual actual shots that we've had in Star Wars. I mean, up there with, I think the space battle in Rogue One, the Holdo maneuver and the Last Jedi is just spectacular visual sequences. That's kind of where you would have to rate this that high.
And notice, guys, we said visual stuff, not necessarily that. Anyways, visually beautiful, stunning.
Yeah. No, I mean, TLG was a visually stunning movie. You know, that's something you and I have always agreed on. I think of the sequels, it's the best looking.
The Last Jedi looks
That's not where we had
amazing.
our issues with the film.
No. I will agree with you and give it an A+ as well, and it's my first A+ for this series. I even admitted the first 3 episodes, I was like, this has got a lot that it's working against, and I might be a little harsh on it. I'm not gonna. I don't necessarily.
Yeah, you were down on this. You didn't like the idea of this going in, did you?
Well, I was most. I'm sick of this period. This period in Star Wars. If this had come out immediately after Rogue One, before Kenobi and all of that, sure. But now it was, like I said, it was working against a lot. And I do plan to rewatch this series once it's all done, and I might consider my first 3 episodes. I might up those a half point from, if it's a B up to a B+, whatever. They might be. It took me a minute to kind of relax into the series, but I'm fully relaxed in it and loving every second.
And you don't get the feeling that suddenly in the next few episodes the quality is going to tank. You just don't get that feeling. They're not going to suddenly change the makeup of this show. And clearly this is a very laid out path that they're going down in terms of the story. And it's quality writing, it's great acting, so therefore great casting. As I said, the score, the sound design,
yes,
the visuals, it's got everything.
There were so they made a good point about how they should march into the base, and talking about rifle placement, and then when they're actually moving into the vault room, they're very crowded. Their weapons are not tactically sound, but I could forgive that. I could forgive it potentially being shot out of order from where we heard them say some more logical military movement and tactics stuff. But other than that, no, I completely agree. This was a perfectly executed episode. This is top notch.
It was almost like a mini little movie, these last 3 episodes, if you like. They really did have a sort of beginning, a middle, and an end, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I almost think it would have worked as a movie. I don't think it would have made bajillions at the box office, because there's not enough excitement in it for people. But as a just story, a standalone piece with moving pieces and proper drama, it's got everything. Yeah.
The tension in this was amazing. Without spoiling anything,
it was surprising as well. I think I didn't automatically. We knew, without getting into spoilers, not everything's going to go according to plan, and they get out there and just there's no drama. There has to be drama, but I didn't anticipate all the different things that were going to happen and we were going to come across.
I'll say this: I didn't anticipate all the things that went right. That alone made me more uncomfortable, because I was used to the more. There's a few points where you expect the plan to fail or start going wrong, and they make it past those points, and you're like, well, they wouldn't have done that if this was a J.J. Abrams movie. They wouldn't have done that if this was in Dave Filoni's wheelhouse.
Particularly in a comedy version, and they'd have just
way earlier.
And they would have still achieved the end result, and no one would have been killed, and they would all have got away, happy days. The crew of the whatever have lived to tell another day.
It would all be hunky-dory in the end.
Real compared to what we're getting here.
So let's go ahead and get into the spoiler chit-chat of all of this. The plan, we mentioned that it goes well for quite a while, and that was the most uncomfortable thing for me, was sitting there waiting on, because like you said, it's going to happen. Something has to go wrong. You don't have a big... When you show your team getting a win early on in something, it's something small, not this high. So I was like, for one fraction of a second, I was like, could this be showing us that there will be successes? It's like, no, they gotta take a loss somewhere. And man, if they didn't almost pull a Rogue One, where they lost quite a bit, and you see the fracturing of the team.
At the end, with only 2 people left out of that whole team, only 2 people, and everybody else,
and one left behind on planet. So
who was left behind?
The blonde lady's partner, darker
did she
skin.
get left there?
She was left. She was left there because she walks out at the end. She was back with the hostages, and I'm guessing she was gonna just meld in with the locals.
Ah, right.
Because you do see her walk out
survives.
with her.
I must have missed that somehow. But
other than that, they kill.
Dead. Yeah.
They kill the kid. The Andor has to kill the guy that he recognized prison tats or gang tats from. You lose the former stormtrooper. What's that?
Where he kills Skeen. That was one of the best scenes for me because
absolutely. He was just shocked at it. Like Andor reminded me in that moment of myself, where it's like, yeah, sure, I've got my line, and my line might not be the same as anyone else's, but anyone that's beyond my own line, that's insane to me. And Andor's one of the was like that. He's like, I'm here to get money. I was pretty upfront about that. You're here being a dick. No, screw you, dude. We just went through all that shit to get. No, screw you.
It's one of the few times.
Bolts him right.
Sometimes when things like this happen in drama series, they'll go, "Oh, let's have them talk too long, and let's have Cassian be too trusting," and then he has to, Skeen goes for him, and then Cassian just manages to. But no, it was just,
this is
it
Cassian
was just that
first.
calculation going.
This is him shooting first.
Either I say no, and you're going to kill me because I now know what you're doing.
Yep.
I say yes, and the risk is you're going to kill me at some point anyway. Because why wouldn't you take that risk? Or I'll just kill you and I fuck off. And that was the best option that he took at that point, and he just takes it in a second. And it was refreshing to see a character that decisive.
First. A character shoot first.
In this situation, it was due. Again, it goes back to
George.
That's why everybody hated that they changed that, because we liked Han Solo being a badass.
Yes.
He was a pirate, he was a scoundrel, and he absolutely would roast poor Greedo.
And Greedo was worse than he was,
Greedo was absolutely worse than him. So, no love lost there. That just added to this is a gritty, real world. That's what I'm talking about. And by changing that, you make it more kid-friendly and more fantasy-like in some sort of respects. And that's never been a good thing for Star Wars.
No, and I remember someone recently, Blade has been in the news again, and I remember reading someone talking about how the intro for the first Blade movie was one of the all-time hype movies there when it first came out, and everyone was too young to have seen it. It was rated R, and still people well under 18 were watching Blade. And the blood showers and him slicing up vampires was one of the most badass intros a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old could see. And you know what? Most everyone I know that was in their preteen or teenage years there, and what was that, 99, 98? It's like real early, maybe 2000. When did the original Blade come out? But yeah, it
was
in
cinemas when it came out. But I was so I would have been already an
original, not the new one. But yeah, the point being is that while something can not. Why? I just want the original Blade.
Is it trying to give you the Marvel one and telling you that it's changed dates?
No, it was giving me it gave me the Marvel 98. So 98, I was 13 in August of 98. So yeah,
I was.
So of course you had plenty of people, but you know what I'm saying? Like they're yes, there are things that are kid friendly, and there are things that are all ages friendly, and then there are things that are more mature, and
when we were kids,
we used to watch
Rambo, Death Wish 3.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
To be honest, the only thing we were
Predator,
like
Alien
was stuff that had sex in it. So if it had sex in it, it was like, no,
That's it.
Sure, you're not getting that.
That's
but if
it.
it had violence and it was just like ketchup and screen or whatever, they didn't care. You know, and we didn't all grow up being serial killers and stuff like that.
No,
it didn't happen, you know.
Not yet.
We maybe grew up with a love of movies because we were watching decent movies back then and decent, you know. And you understood that you couldn't go that far on a TV show. You know, that's just not how TV worked back then.
But we don't have to.
Days.
We don't. And I love levity in Star Wars. I love laughing in Star Wars, but I also love
place for humor.
I also love this. I love how humor comes naturally, even from laughing at a Imperial doing manual labor. I thought that was brilliant, having the Commandant do labor.
And
no, dude, you're gonna work. You're gonna rob this place.
To spend with him and his family to begin with, because it just humanized his character and that little bit more than if he had just turned up when they go to kidnap him and you hadn't met him before then, didn't have any idea of what was going on. So just it's those little details, because what you'll find in a lot of shows is those are the little things that get cut and left on the cutting room floor because they don't add to it. We can skip that and we can save time. You don't. This isn't a movie. You don't have to save any time. So actually, you know, giving us these little bits, and I think another one was the reaction of Mon Mothma and Luthen at the end, which you could have cut off and had in a following episode, but it just added that this is the impact this has had. Do you know what I mean? This one event has had a ripple effect, not just on two of our other main characters, but based on where they are and what they're doing, it's had an impact on everyone.
Yeah, on the Empire. And with that Imperial thing where you mentioned about spending time with the family, because it went to show you, because two things that this series has done for the Empire that nothing else Disney has done, and I'm including the First Order as part of the Empire in this comparison, and that is competency, both in their actions and reactions. And it's not perfect. There are some nitpicky things that you could really get into with like realistic geopolitics and insurgency and counter insurgency. You got that, but you've got crap, man. I had a brain fart.
So
you get the competency. You get the competency, but you also get the humanization. So they tried to humanize the First Order with Finn, right? With people. You get the time that he spent with his family humanizes him. He's like, look, I hate this duty station too. I've been there. I've hated a duty station. You know, I've liked the unit that I was in, but hated where I was stationed, or liked where I was stationed, but hated the unit I was in. Here was a guy that's like, look, you know, I'm a dutiful husband. I'm a dutiful Imperial. Yeah, sure, I live a comfy life, and he's bogged down, but he himself.
He was willing to take the back of his hand off his son at one point. So maybe he's a little bit overbearing.
No, I'm not saying he's a good guy. He's a
not every
douche, but
he has to be a bad guy. They don't have to be evil. Like, I am here because I am evil and I want to control the galaxy. It's just a job for
how many times did we grow up
not ready to rebel against the system? They just want to be in it and be safe.
How many times did we hear growing up, you know, man up or cowboy up or whatever phrase you want to use? How many times did we hear even our friends' parents say something similar? So yeah, I'm not saying that he's a good guy. I'm saying he's human. He's a human character that's in a certain spot, and you can see how those things come out of a human in that spot, and that made everything better.
On the competency thing as well, I think what you see is where the Empire is weak and where they're strong, and actually getting things right, making sure things are checked, reacting to suspicious situations. They're actually really good at all that. The weakness, as Andor keeps telling us all the time in the Empire, is that they think they're too big to be beaten. They think that all the things they have up makes it impossible. They what's the word I'm looking for? Undervalue, those against them. You know, if you apply just the Danny the rural people, and he's talking about how easy they are to manipulate, and that's what the Empire thinks of everyone, and that's the way to deal with everyone as well, and that's kind of why they don't see the rebellion coming to the extent as what it is.
It's just so fitting to have all these English and UK related accents, because I mean the Brits marched across the world telling people that they knew what was better for them for hundreds of years.
But I mean, along with the America, you have now taken that mantle on.
Oh yeah, we got it, and we do it without the need for all the we do it through exporting our entertainment. No, it's fun because it's true throughout history. I mean, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, of course, the UK.
We talk about all the great empires of history. The British was the biggest in the world of all time. But that's the thing, is it's history, and it's human. Like, human history is nothing but migration and conquest. That is human history of every people across all continents. Using what they have to down.
Right, and so it's great context because here we are. We're seeing. You can point this, like you said. I pointed it at the UK just because you're UK, but you can 100% point the mirror at the US over the last 70-ish years, and 80. Okay, we'll go about 80 years, and it fits. This isn't pigeonholed anywhere. This is the commentary that Star Wars has always been known for. When you say Star Wars is filled with politics, this is it. It's not a specific ideology.
It's not supposed to be allegory as such.
Right, there you go.
It's supposed to be that we're applying what we know about the human spirit. All you can do is write like humans, because we don't understand how aliens think. So we think like humans, we write like humans, and they're writing politics which have a relevance to what existed in our history, because that's all we know. So we have to apply that to it. But that doesn't mean it's allegory. So it doesn't mean, this is supposed to mean don't vote for this president in the next election. That's what we're really doing.
Not making any
alternative message. They're not.
The statement
because the Empire's not like you live in a democratic government, so they are. Mm-hmm. Now you can argue,
representative republic, but it's okay.
All that sort of stuff. But ultimately, if somebody's really bad, they kind of get booted out. That tends to be that's in general how it works. Yeah. But we're looking at the best example is as if the Nazis had won and there's a dictatorship controlling the whole galaxy. I've been seeing them walking around behind you.
I didn't even know she was here.
That's, if you like, the analogy. An analogy is different from an allegory of what's going on here, because that didn't happen in our society. So it's the same as taking a show like The Man in the High Castle and saying what would really happen if you had this overpowering dictatorship that covers everything, and people would 100% fit into the system and do bad things, because that's the way it is. That's our government. That's what they want us to do. So it must be the right thing. Yep. That's what happens in the Empire, and we're seeing that.
It's a human thing, and there he was worried about his family. His wife. What's the last thing his wife says to him? Do what they say. Make sure me and your boy get to go home, and that's what he did. He played along. I mean, 100%.
Clearly he's not used to manual labor, as you said, and that's what killed him in the end. Not to say that he didn't survive. I mean, theoretically they might have revived him after.
But it's clear that he's having at least a myocardial infarction. So
he is a little bit overweight. He is a bit of a pen pusher. He has been sitting feasting and doing what he needs to do, which has probably not been getting a lot of exercise or anything, and he's fairly unhealthy. He's also a lot older than his wife.
I love how the Empire fits like I said, the Star Wars has always been political, but not for lack of a better phrase, contemporary politics.
No.
It's the political themes and that age-old question of the balance between power and freedom, or responsibility and freedom, and what one or many can do together in the name of freedom, in the name of following one's path to the best of their ability.
Like,
and this is showing so, dude, the as someone that has been part of an invading force and had to face insurgencies, like, I get so much. I cannot give you enough credit, Gilroy, and everyone involved with this. You are hitting a bunch of beautiful spots that some honest to God U.S. military like dramas and things like that don't even get, because they'll focus on the wrong thing. You guys are
still written by Hollywood people most of the time, you know?
And you guys are up there with stuff like Black Hawk Down and American Sniper. You guys are up there with things like Saving Private Ryan, all of which are vastly different, and yet
this is set in the Star Wars
but universe. Oh my god, and bravo. So
I would say is, Lucasfilm, please, more of this. See this tone.
Most EU thing ever.
Just start pushing everything towards this slightly darker, more mature tone. It doesn't have to always be adult drama like Andor clearly is designed to be. It doesn't have to be as mature as that. But push it into the more serious and the slightly darker direction where you can, because it works for this universe. It's not a nice place. The galaxy far, far away was never Disneyland. It never was. As long as we've been in that universe, if we look at the Phantom Menace, things were not great back in the Phantom Menace before the Empire even became a thing. There was problems. Yeah, I know the dark side was growing, Palpatine was influencing, but you know, we had slaves still in and out of them. Everything was very loss of control. So maybe they did have some good times in the past where everything was relatively peaceful in the past of that republic, but we haven't really seen that. So as much as the Empire.
Now we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. I had a system crash, and Cam was in the middle of a monologue, and I cannot I can remember his last word was Palpatine, but I cannot remember what the context.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where we come from. So this, but I'll get to kind of my point anyway of what I was talking about. Where I ended up going when I realised Kyle's face was frozen on screen, and I'd been talking to myself for a minute, was that you can kind of see. Although we know that Palpatine's behind the scenes, the ordinary people do not know that. You know, they don't know that there is an evil Sith Lord that's controlling things and wants to rule everybody's destiny and kill off anybody, you know, and will eventually be blowing up planets just because they get in his way. That's not where the Empire begins from, and Palpatine's very smart about that. He's using that unrest and unruliness, and he's giving people, look, this is order, we'll control everything. Yep. It won't be as bad as it used to be. We'll keep control of everything by this Empire. And people have bought into that and joined up. And it's not until, as we've seen with many other characters and games and shows and everything like that, that once they get in and they realise what the Empire's asking them to do, that's when some of them start having a change of heart, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the Empire is an attractive option at this point to a lot of people. And I think we're seeing that. We're absolutely seeing that in this show, and that can only be a good thing.
How great was that? Wrapping up this segment here, how great was that line of you'll be hanged for this. After 7 years working for you, I deserve worse.
Yeah,
that just tickled me. Like I said, he's not a good guy. He's human, though. He's a human that is a result of his circumstances, his environment.
I think we know a little bit about this guy's backstory is that he kind of had feelings for a Danny person at one point, and then he sees what happened to
How he
those
treats
people,
them
and you know,
the things they smell, and they're so dumb.
and you know,
it's
he
like,
knows that they're planning to just get rid of
Yep.
them completely, and they won't be allowed to go there next time,
Yep.
and all that sort of stuff. You know, there's definitely worse. That wouldn't be enough to push some people, but it
No.
did him. You know, and everybody has their different line, as you talked about earlier on. Their trigger mechanism that pushes them where they needs to go. Cassian's is a little bit higher than that, to be perfectly honest.
Just a little.
Whereas,
Just
you know,
enough.
we have the young guy who's, you know, he's a revolutionary. He's
a
you
true
know,
believer
I
in
have
the
an
cause.
idea of how the galaxy should work and it should be free, and I'm going to go out there and make that happen. Here's my manifesto. I think that manifesto Cassian will end up reading that at some point, and it will have an effect on him.
I believe so.
Because I think what you can tell about Cassian at the moment is he's someone that there's no love for the Empire, but he also values his own skin more than he does any silly cause at this moment in time.
Yes.
So we need to be the person who is actually so pro rebellion that we see in Rogue One. We've got a little bit of way to go there yet.
Got a bit to say for sure. Anything else to say on Andor itself, man? Before we talk about one,
rather than go specifics, we kind of just talked about everyone we loved as a one overall kind of discussion, didn't we? I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything sort of specific that we've kind of missed out. I don't have any criticisms.
No.
I enjoyed it. I sat there glued to my seat for 53 minutes, and I didn't feel it even felt that long.
No,
and
not
unlike
at
the
all.
last 2 weeks where I've complained where it just feels like the story get cut off, of course that didn't happen this week, and we knew going in that wouldn't happen this week because it was the end of a 3-story arc.
Yep.
And honestly, as much as I would like it better another way, I'm kind of okay with being a bit, I wish this didn't end for 2 weeks if we always get a conclusion that's as good as what we had today. Yesterday, sorry.
What a great conclusion it was. No, I might be able to get this up same day. I think I have a few times, but yeah. Anyways, I wanted to bring up, because it is the Cantina. We would be remiss if we did not mention the Thrawn casting rumor that popped up again this week. So we mentioned it on the Daily Cup of Genre earlier this week, that another leaker or scooper, however you want to phrase it, said that
I like
insider, sure, we'll go with that. Says that they have heard Lars Mikkelsen would be and where is it? Christopher Mark on Twitter. They are the ones that said, yeah, it's him, and that, you know, echoes something that we had mentioned well over a year ago now, right? I don't even remember when that announcement
just don't work. So cut a long story short, we said that from the sources that we had heard two things: that Lars Mikkelsen was playing
Thrawn,
which I think we were definitely first to say that because that was because fans get really excited about that because they thought, surely they won't do that, and it was a kind of, wow, maybe they will. So that's what we heard. Can only say what we heard, but we had also heard at the same time, same source,
Mena Masad would be Ezra Bridge,
and we know that's not
and
true.
That's not the case.
So when I covered the Mena story and who it is now, etc. What I'd said is I can't sit here, and neither can you, and say we're 100% convinced that Mikkelsen is going to be Thrawn, because we can't necessarily trust
it.
That
was the same source.
If they got one thing wrong, they could have got the other thing wrong. However, what I will say is nobody's ever come to say to us since then, I have heard someone else or named someone else in that role. So now that there is starting to be a bit of a buzz about it, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it comes out.
See.
Our sources have just went, we're not talking at the moment.
Yeah,
you know, they want to keep their jobs. I don't know when we'll hear from that again. So
and this is not this is just because, well, our names are involved by proxy or not. But Jordan Mason had said a while ago that they'd heard that it wasn't going to be Mickelson, if I'm not mistaken.
Jordan did speak to me about that, and he asked me if I'd heard anything, and it was specifically about both of them. And I just said, look, we've had nothing since they say this has changed. That's all I knew, and that's all I gave him back.
When he retweets out this recent one by Christopher Mark, and says, there you go, it kind of throws against a wrench in this whole who is Thrawn thing, because now you've got...
And we know Jordan's got good sources. So he's here in that. I'm more likely to trust him than Christopher Mark, to be honest, because Jordan's got a history of getting Star Wars stuff right that we have been able to confirm independently. So... So it's an interesting case, and we'll see what shakes loose. It's one of those areas of being in this field of entertainment reporting. If you guys have ever noticed, that was never our bread and butter. The website does a lot more than deal with scoops and GenreVerse's podcast. We talk about news. We don't not that we don't like making it, but that's not what we generally do here. We don't make news or break news. We discuss it. So we're not a scoop site.
I hope,
even though we cover other people's scoops, we do far more independent original interviews than we do news stories for a start.
And I hope we turn out to be right, because it's a good casting. We get
casting,
we get a win, but it's a good casting.
And the fans seem to want it as well. So why not? Anyway,
why not? Indeed.
Guess we'll find out soon.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this week. There's not been any other big Star Wars news. Lots of Marvel news, lots of Marvel dates shifting, but at least they had
the Disney
things for dates.
The next two Star Wars movies are still dated for December 2025 and December 2027. So those are still there. They haven't changed anything, but Rogue Squadron was there until just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that means anything, because it'll surely depend how quick Taika Waititi can put his movie together for a start.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, you can keep up to date on that news here on lrmonline.com. Go there every day for all entertainment news, needs, and opinions, celebrity interviews, written reviews. Cam and Manny been doing a lot of written reviews. The podcast, like the Daily Cup of Genre, covers everything. Breaking Geek covers everything, but they do it in long form and only once a week. Anime-Versal Reviews actually doing two sets of our two reviews this season. Chainsaw Man and Spy Family. Chainsaw Man is amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. If you are a horror fan, get your 7-day free trial of Crunchyroll. Watch Chainsaw Man. It is a love letter to horror films in general. They make a big Lebowski reference in Chainsaw Man. It's just gorgeous. So, the Rings of Power, we'll finish that up with our review
finale
of the Rings.
this week.
Yep, finale this week, as well as She-Hulk. Thank God it's ending on Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, and you guys are watching the Cantina. All of those go up. Oh, that's right. I forgot my computer crashed, so I don't have our channel up, but there it is now. You guys can get all of those podcasts that I mentioned on the YouTube channel. Thanks to all 702 subscribers. You become a subscriber as well. Join us and hit the red button, because you also get all of the podcasts in video format, but the AVR squared anime reactions, there's 4 different shows we're covering on that. And then
whatever you like, there'll be something there for you. If there's other things you don't,
genre shot, trailer reactions, there's all sorts of things covering everything you can imagine, even some things without me. Mostly without me. No, I'm on everything.
You kind of, it's just your voice that's in.
Just my voice on Breaking Geek. What is it? I am the Senate now. I am the GenreVerse. All right, guys. It's been really fun this week. You can find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. You can find him at LRM_Cam on Twitter. And we'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.